Nurske. He is the author of 10 books of poetry, including A Night in Brooklyn, forthcoming, The Border Kingdom, Burnt Island, and The Fall, published by Alfred Knopf in New York. He has received 2 U.S. National Endowment Fellowships for the Arts, the Whiting Writers Award, a Guggenheim Fellowship, a Literature Award from the American Academy of Arts and Letters, and other prizes. His book, Voices Over Water, was shortlisted for the 2011 Forward Prize for the best poetry book published in the UK. His poetry has appeared in periodicals, including the Times Literary Supplement, London, The New Yorker, the Paris Review, Poetry Ireland, Poetry London, Poetry in Chicago, and the New York Times. His work has been translated into Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, Vietnamese, Estonian, and other languages. He teaches poetry at Sarah Lawrence College. Please welcome Denis Nurske.
I'm very grateful to be here. Kritya is a wonderful concept, and I really feel that I have learned a lot about Malayalam poetry. I thought it was really fascinating to hear that ancient tradition. We were talking about how in the Western tradition, Homer was sung, and even the middle-aged poems were declaimed in singing, and we've lost that in the West, so it was amazing to hear the music that is behind all our traditions. The first poem I'm going to read is Adama, and I also wanted to thank Rati Saxena before I begin. The first poem is Adama. One rarely writes a poem to a theme, but I was asked to participate in a seminar about the issue of genetic engineering, the possibility of creating life in a test tube, which to me is very terrifying. And this, very typically of our era, this seminar took place in the year 2001, and people thought this was the beginning of a great discussion about this really radical change in the way we face our humanity, and then we were distracted by war and terrorism and economic crisis. My name means anything made from clay. I was dust until God breathed in my nostril and began talking to me obsessively. This is Pishon, the river from the land of onyx. These holes are your eyes. These are the olive groves I planted for you. These are almond saplings, and I was addicted to his breath, his voice, his shaping hand, and that was love. He gave me the creatures to name, and soon it was bird flying, snake crawling, ox lowing. With him it was simple. He was just the name, because he was lonely. I was not, I had him. He made Eve from my rib. I was jealous of his breath writhing and glittering in her. He planted a tree at the center of the garden, and we ate its fruit. When he was walking in the cool of the day, we hid from him, and he tricked us, asking, "Who told you you were naked?" Then we covered our sex with fig leaves, and he clothed us with the skins of dead animals. He drove us away from his voice, and yet we keep hearing it, but it is our own. Hoopoe, adder, bison. So we came to the ocean and fathomed it, to Ararat and charted it, and at last we came to dust and recognized in it a syntax, a braided law that had caused us and God, and we cried, one thread of immortality passes through us, but it is endless, so we belong to death. From dust we made ourselves, the vineyards, the walled cities, but always we expected to wake, that our eyes be opened, that we know God and evil as the snake promised. Instead, just this long sleep, omnipotence, this narrow valley bounded by 4 rivers. It's called Return to the Capital. It's a love poem. To me, it has a feeling of reconciliation and perhaps even resurrection. It might be a little posthumous, this poem. Return to the capital. They imagined they would sleep together, then they slept together. They thought to rest afterwards, arm in arm, listening to rain. So they rested, but it snowed. They woke in silence. The silence woke them. They had not imagined the pain of separating their clothes back into male and female. In the mirror, instead of a face, they saw 2 reflections. If this is happiness, how shall we leave it? If this is grief, how to enter it? If this is just a rented room, where are the doors, the stairs, the streets, the endless city?